A very good evening to you and welcome to Powerbrief on this 28th day of the month of October, the year 2021. And tonight we actually come into doing politics, as they say that all politics are local. On our show tonight, we're joined by Mr. Frederick Sasia, who is a policy and a political analyst, flanked by Mr. Peter Kariuki, a political aspirant, and also Mr. John Kamau, who is a political aspirant. My name is Cornelius Omusa and I welcome you into this discussion looking into the political happenings with a focus on the forming of alliances, that is the coalitions. What does it mean as the country moves into the year 2022 general election? This conversation is also live on our Facebook page, KAK TV Kenya, and YouTube is KAK TV Kenya. Gentlemen, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you.
Kariuki, it's been a while since you were here when COVID had just struck, but I'm glad you're back. Sasi has been here for some time, and also Mr. Kamau. And straight away we go into political happenings of the day. And it's happening that a few months from now, political parties will be subjecting candidates for primary or for nominations. And yesterday, Kakamega Governor, that is Oparanya, hinted that ODM may have to handpick candidates at some regions, reason being that they are trying to avoid being intruded by their political opponents. And this move has elicited debates here and there, especially when it comes to upholding democracy. There are those ones who are for it, those ones who are not for it. What does that move portray to democracy? Is it the move to the right direction, or there's a better way they can do it to avoid intrusion by the so-called their enemies? Come on.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. I'll say, if you had picked a candidate, it means there is a candidate who is left out. It was democratic. It wasn't democratic because you need to subject them to the same environment and let the people decide. Most parties have been doing party registrations, meaning you become a member and you have a chance probably to decide who you want to be on the front bearer of your political party. But when you handpick, you create a side of the guys who are not handpicked and really wanted to contest with the ones that were given the seat, the chance to also become an aspirant of your political party. And these are the same people who go to other opponents and probably vie on other tickets. And we've seen such cases where you find an independent candidate who ends up winning a seat, or goes to, there was a case in Mombasa where was it in Namu Kwade? Msambweni, exactly. So the guy who was in ODM was not given a seat. They had picked someone else. So the other guy went to the other seat and actually won the seat. So we should subject them, and as part of democracy, all these political parties should agree to subject all. Even if they are founders of the political party, they should all be subjected to the same environment, and we let the people decide.
Mr. Kariuki, being a member of the ODM party and also an aspirant, and you wake up tomorrow, you yourself, you are vying on ODM, and then they tell you, now we've picked Sasia, so support Sasia and we move forward.
Thank you very much for for this opportunity. For me, I will agree with my brother here, because there are so many people who are sacrificing to register other people so that they can become members of that party. So I think everybody must be given opportunity, because we are in a democratic country whereby democracy must be practiced, and everybody must be given an equal opportunity. You can see, for example, it was in Migori, where the governor of Migori was denied the ODM ticket. He went and with another party and he won. So I think Oparanya is trying to destroy the image of ODM, and I think we as members of ODM, we shall raise concern there, and we'll have the solution to that problem.
Still on you, and probably to look into the other side of the coin, we've had cases where a number of aspirants vies on this particular party's ticket, and then 1 week after being sworn in, or even others the next morning, they stand to collaborate with an opponent of that party. We have so many examples of Aisha Jumwa and so many others from other parties who cross to this direction and others who cross to the other direction. Don't you think that in one or another, also Governor Paranya, whom I know is not speaking for himself, this is something that might have been discussed somewhere? Him is a vice chair of the party. deputy party leader. Don't you think also they are a bit cautious from history? They are trying to learn from history and also operating from what history has taught them.
But it depends with the religion, with the region. For example, you can't go in Nyanza with another party, for example in Homa Bay, with another party, and you expect to beat somebody like Orengo, because that guy has been there, has been ODM since, he's among the founder of ODM. So I think on another side, Oparanya was looking at the way you were saying, for example, they didn't
specify region. They talked of specific places where they feel candidate B deserves to be given a direct ticket to be handpicked. It has happened not only in ODM but also in other parties. We had a case of Trans Nzoia County where the current governor was actually given the ticket right away from the headquarters and he continued with the journey.
But it depends with the ground. Hata siku hizi wanasema ground inasema. Yeah, when you hear the voice of the people and the party knows you have invested in the party. For example, Haemba invested in the party so much for the Kenya. He put more resources in for the Kenya. So Wetangula had to give him the direct ticket. The same way Oparanya is trying to explain for other people. But for me, I think for we youth, because we don't have resources, we shall be left out. So I think there, we as ODM members, we shall raise concern there.
So you'll specify to us later on which type of resources we don't have. There are so many types of them. Mr. Sasia, looking into this issue of nominations, which actually also relates heavily on how alliances are going to shape moving to 2022, how is this ODM move of doing that move of handpicking of candidates?
Thank you very much, Mr. Musa. But then I'll tell you, party nominations in this country have always been shoddy. Irrespective of how they do it, maybe handpicking or not handpicking. Even when you go to the exercise, at the end of the day, in most places, whoever is going to be given the ticket is always decided. So one, most parties would want to cut a figure of being a democratic party by putting the candidates who are vying for that position in a nomination exercise. But then you go deep into the real exercise, you find out that they dish out that nomination certificate to the most preferred candidate. But now, going by the history of this country, our political space has been devoid of ideological principles. People do not stand for anything. Today, somebody is ODM and he loses this nomination. The following day is in UDA and is singing the song of UDA. So in such a political space, then parties are forced also to dictate what they want. Look, for example, a place like Kabuchai, where I think the Ford Kenya candidate won the position in the by-election, but the following month, the guy was in UDA. So this guy actually was a UDA member, but vying on a Ford Kenya party ticket because he felt, with this party ticket, I'm going to win that elective position. So parties...
And he admitted that he was supported
by
at some point.
Yes. So you know, so these parties at times they're limited on choices. And me, I would support Governor Oparanya, but with conditions. The first condition is a party like ODM. I wouldn't expect them to put a nomination exercise in Mount Kenya for candidates that are going on ODM ticket. I would prefer them to handpick. Even William Samoei Ruto, there's a time he said at particular points they'll have to conduct interviews for the candidates who are vying on UDA ticket. Do you know why he suggested that? Because there are places where if you dare do a party nomination, you'll be infiltrated by the other side. For example, look at what happened in Nyali constituency to 2017. The cartels in Mombasa denied Muhammad Ali the ticket and gave it to Saido. Then at the end of the day, Muhammad shifted to independent candidate and they won. I'm very sure at the ODM headquarters, guys were not very happy. Had they chose the direction of giving a ticket to the person they felt most suitable, Nyali would be an ODM seat. So one, it is not correct to subject candidates to that direct nomination, but again, it is correct where the party feels their position is threatened. So if Governor Oparanya was referring to the regions they feel it is very easy for them to lose, then it is okay. But for the places where the competition is balanced and there is a competitive figure on it, then they need to subject every candidate for the nomination exercise.
Thank you. Now, this leads us to another thing. On the course of this week, Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria who got an accident. brought out some figures, some projections. In a scenario when we have 2 horse race, as they put it, and 4 horse race. 2 horse race they put between Honorable Raila Odinga and William Ruto. 4 horse race we have Raila, Ruto, Kalonzo and Honorable Mudavadi. And Kuria put it that in a 2 horse race, Raila will win by 52%, being trailed by Ruto. And in a 4 horse race, Ruto will win, though not being able to be declared the winner, by 40%. And this thing has elicited 2 questions. One, the position of Kuria, is he still with Ruto? And then 2, whether in any way those projections hold any truth, and probably what was it intended to achieve, having in mind that politics is a game of perceptions and how to play with the psychology of the people. Beginning with Mr. Kamau, he's your MP.
He's my neighbor MP. But I will say, as much as politics is a game of perceptions, it's also a game of numbers. In Kenya, and at the moment, if election was to be held today, I don't think if we were to subject Daida, Ruto, and perhaps also Mudavadi and the likes, it's never a 4 horse race. It's a 2 horse race and probably 2 donkeys. I don't know. Yes, a racer of a horse could be a donkey probably. Because the only thing yes they can do, they can disrupt a chance of having a winner with a 50+1. Because if you go to Nyanza, of course we know Raila will take up probably 80-90% of the votes. That is not the same if you go to Rift Valley. Because Rift Valley is a mixture, is a metropolitan. If you are to talk of tribes, there are so many of them. So if Ruto is able to take at least 70% of Rift Valley, Raila of course takes a big share of Nyanza and less populated areas. Talk of Ukambani, will still take a big number. You talk of also Coast, will still take a good number. So the decider of course will be Central Province, and that's why you've seen all of them want to climb the mountain. Everyone wants to climb that mountain because it's the same scenario that we had 2013, 2017. The only thing that is there is a disruption of Central Kenya because what has happened is you can't really say that so and so is now the kingpin. There is no one with enough mighty to say that he's the spokesman. And if, for example, we had a spokesman who was we got from the eastern side of Central Kenya, and you know there is a silent fight between east and west, because there is even a narrative that has always been sold that we were told from independence that a kingship should never go beyond River Chania. So the issue would be if you're able to separate now the Kikuyu or the mountain between the east and the west. You create animosity that the ones in the east feel we've been ruled for so long by the west. So it's also a chance for us from the east. And that is the narrative, and that's why you've seen Kirinyaga, Meru and Embu are the bigger part of people who want to be vice president. So what will happen if Raila is able to take a candidate from Mount Kenya, which is a win for him and a win for the country, because this is something that I didn't think I would see before I die. Because a Kikuyu and a Luo, frankly speaking, that is something they never thought it would happen. So if Raila is able,
in 2002.
2002 it didn't happen. 2002 what we had was Raila wasn't the running mate. We didn't have those issues of running mate. It was actually a Luya and a Kikuyu. Just to watershed the whole thing. Because if it was Raila and Kibaki, I don't think it could have worked. So with this one having Raila as the main running mate and probably a DP from the central region, it's a win. It's a big win. I feel it's a big win.
Big win for the country or for the coalition?
For the country and also for the coalition. But if Ruto does the same, it's a lose. Because now the other communities will be feeling, does this country, out of 42 tribes, is it only Kikuyus and Kalenjins who can rule us? Because as much as we want to seem so much learned, that we don't probably have tribalism, probably education has not been total salvation. And also our political age also dictates that we need to have someone from our community also on the top cake. And I wish Ruto supported the BBI, because BBI was able to create a prime minister, a deputy, and all those seats.
You're not so sure. You can't be so sure whether you're supporting it or not, because sometimes I hear you politicians saying that what you speak on public is not what is actually planned behind the scenes. So up to now, maybe Sasia will tell us whether indeed he was against it in truth and in spirit, or it was you gain this side as you gain this side, in the one that you call win-win situation, cutting from both sides.
Yeah, I feel for him, of course, it will be a ruse because you get to power as a ceremonial president, because prime minister takes the bigger bit of the business of parliament and also of government. So it would be, it wouldn't be ideal for him. But in terms of taking up power, it could have been easy because you could have been able to take Aduya, take a Kikuyu, probably take another tribe. But this one where you have two tribes taking the whole thing, it's actually hard for him because if he chooses a Kikuyu, it's an issue for the other tribes. If he goes with another tribe, then Kikuyus for the longest time, they've never been outside both top seats. So they will feel like, well, it's not working for us. And if Raila at that point takes a Kikuyu, whoever it is, it will be easy for him to probably get maybe 20 to 30% of the Kikuyu votes, which is enough for him to take the seat.
Thank you, Kamau. Now, Mr. Peter, looking into what Kuria came up with, it had been done graphically, very appealing to the eyes, and also the figures were very, it was coming out very clearly. And a number of people have been trying to really scratch their heads to understand, one, what did Kuria want to achieve with these projections, and then two, whether it was a revenge game to, I don't know whether it is his former friend William Ruto or perceived former friend. What can you study in all these Kuria's developments?
I think Kuria was trying to speak his mind. You know, Kuria is always an optimistic guy. And Kuria has already calculated the move of the mountain. You know, when the UDA members, the founders, the likes of Mudhama, the Veronica Maina, they say that they are not going to have any collusion with any party. And they gave out condition that they will have coalition after the general election. That's why you see the likes of Kuria, they are trying to move away from UDA. They are saying that they are supporting William Ruto, they are supporting the Hustler movement. And yet, the Hustler movement itself is not supporting them. You see the likes of Mwangi Kiunjuri, they are supporting Hustler movement. But the UDA party is not accommodating them because they are saying they are not going to be given any condition for them to form a government. And that's why you're seeing the likes of Kuria, they are moving away. And Kuria was very right. Raila will win this thing in the morning. Because I know the likes of Mudavadi, Wetangula and Kalonzo, they are going to support Baba. And that one I'm sure, and I'm very sure 100%, because for them, Oka they are organizing themselves so that they can have a very powerful candidate whom they will support, but not from within them. And that candidate is Raila Amolo Odinga.
That's maybe a projection, because today in the dailies, Honorable Musalia had come up with his plan, and figures, I think, they're here, that he has bought poll cars, and also that he'll have secret places to monitor their votes. And I saw Sasia really smiling hard on social media. I don't know why he was smiling. And Mudavadi had indicated that he'll have a secret place to really try to safeguard or to trace their votes. Mr. Sasia, on Kuria still, what do you think really informed his move towards bringing out the graphics, the projections? The other time we had this fellow called Irungu Kangata also bringing out the letter. Nowadays it's called Wabarua. So we maybe at it graphics. The graphics thing.
You know, the truth of the matter is Mount Kenya is drifting back home. And where is home? Where Uhuru will be making the decision where Mount Kenya goes to. So you look at what is happening in the mountain, and you see people like Kabogo shaking hands with Governor Nyoro. You've seen people like what is happening for Moses Kuria. You've seen people like Peter Kenneth. We saw the other handshake. It was between the agriculture CS and the governor. So things are changing in the mountain. You know, one thing that Mr. Ruto had done, he climbed the mountain up to the peak. On that, I agree. But you see, the only risk when you're at the top, you only have one risk, falling down. And the man is falling down. Unfortunately, he's not discovering what is happening, but the mountain is drifting. So you see people like Moses Kura come up with what the analysis is done. And you know, it was not just a shoddy analysis. The guy gave some good figures, researched opinion, and going deep into that, you know, if you have Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi vying as candidates on their own, they eat a lot into the Raila vote basket. And that's why on the first round, Raila comes second to Ruto. Go for the rerun. The two are not on the ticket. Why? Well, the guys who voted for them, what are they going to? Back to Raila, because one, Western Kenya is a Raila stronghold. So that 10 or 15% that will go to Musalia
is or will,
let
the tenses right.
Let me tell you, Western Kenya has always been Raila Odinga. Western Kenya is Raila Odinga. Western Kenya will stop being Raila Odinga the moment the guy disappears from our politics. Why? Musalia is a great joker. Kalonzo, Wetangula is just a supporter of another joker. He always says, I'm going for the presidency. Then the man settles on the senatorial position. And even at that low position, he has always had to rig before he's declared the winner. So Wetangula is a complete joker. Musalia survives on threatening. He keeps on saying how he unites the Luya people. Then in all his political gatherings, he goes to Meru, and it is Malala who is inviting him. He goes to Kajiado, and it's the Nairobi senator who is now inviting him. How do you take such a guy serious? So the only two people who are going for the presidency, who are serious with what they are doing, is the Deputy President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. And the thing is this. One, we have two candidates who thinking they are projects for the two. But mostly I'm believing they are projects for the Uhuru Raila camp. This is Musalia and Kalonzo. But mostly Musalia Mudavadi. These guys have been fronted, are being supported to only scuttle the Western support, not to drift to Ruto's side, and one, to force a rerun. They do not want somebody to win on the first round, because if we hold elections today, Ruto will carry the day. But if we continue delaying this thing and doing the right strategies, Raila is going to carry the day. And you see what they've done in Ukambani. They've left Kalonzo isolated, and now they are racing Machakos governor, Kitui governor, and Kibwana. You know, Kalonzo is a man, and right now he's so desperate because one, he's lost the ground, and he's losing terribly, and the man is dying a natural death. So the only option remaining for him is to negotiate with Uhuru and Raila. Otherwise, Kalonzo is now in the space. Musalia is the next joker who is now being used. But at the end of the day, Musalia is going to settle for the ministerial position. Then there is something I wanted to say about Ruto and BBI. I heard you mention my name when the guy was commenting on it. Let me tell you, of all the presidential candidates, whoever was supporting BBI by a larger percentage was William Ruto. Why? Because look at that camp. It is full. What do you give Central? What do you give Coast? What do you give Rift Valley? What do you give Nyanza? What do you give Western? The man wanted BBI to pass so that he could have a wide range of positions to promise. Raila said, because if BBI had passed today, Raila would be telling Musalia Mudavadi will be the Prime Minister. He would be telling Ukambani, I'll give you the Speaker in the National Assembly. Then Coast will be the Deputy Prime Minister. Then another region, probably another Deputy Prime Minister. So that BBI was offering a very good platform for every presidential candidate. And no one should be lied that there was a presidential candidate who was against BBI. All of them were for BBI, but now they were playing the public card. You know, William Samuel Ruto noticed that his staunch supporters really liked that narrative of BBI ni ya wadosi, BBI ni ya kugawana cheo, but what is he in? He's going for the political position, which is a cheo. He's also fighting for a position. You know, in politics, it's about personal interest. So what is my personal interest when I'm going for the position in the political space? I want to win. When I win, the first interest is mine. I want to make myself stable before I think of constructing that road. I want to win that tender so that I can save some coins for myself. So nobody should be like that there is any candidate who has this soul or divine anointing that is coming to work for the people 100%. There is none. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to hear from Mr. Kamau briefly. You spoke about something of subjecting candidates and then with an expectation that it will go to a rerun, and then during the rerun it will renegotiate afresh. But here comes a situation, Mr. Kamau, whereby, as it has happened, they have seen Sasia on the ballot box, Kariuki on the ballot box, and another candidate, and then they say now on this one, let's now try and go to this candidate who is projected to be ahead of others. Like in this case, from Kuria's projections, mathematically he had placed Ruto at 40. And then from that 40, these other supporters of this down here, they say, let's now go to number 1. It is easier to fill this basket. Don't you think there is a danger of that, of expecting to renegotiate after the first round?
Of course, as he says, Mudavadi will probably go up to the ballot. Kalonzo might also do the same. And at the end, as he says, they will take up the Baba's votes. But for them, they don't want to win as it is. They want also to negotiate power. And the best time to negotiate power is not now. It's then. After the rerun, it will be easier for them to negotiate power. So what will happen is, it won't only be them, that is Davadi and probably Kalonzo. It will also be the losers of parliamentary seats, gubernatorial seats, and senatorial seats, because they are the ones who will be bitter that probably the party had picked. The ones who would be had picked would also be part of that part that would also be trying to fill the basket for the opponent they never supported in the first round. Shortly
before we go for a break, Mr. Kamau, the concern here is not about renegotiating. I've said here someone has 40, another one 37, another one maybe 15 or even 10. Then these 10 plus 15, 25, 5 from here, then 5 from here, or even 6, that is 11. They say we better now go to this one of 40. Don't you think there is a danger of not uniting to finish the game at round 1 rather than going to round 2? What does it portend as it goes to the ballot?
Even if the first candidate takes a bigger chunk, probably let's say 42%, or let's say even 48%, and the other guy takes 42%, what you have to see is, what do the other 2 guys have to offer, or 3 guys? If combined, if we are talking of 42 and 48, we are saying that what is out is around 10%. So whoever will negotiate the 10% well is the one who becomes the president. Doesn't matter whether you had 48 or 42. So these guys, whoever will give them a good deal, that's the side they'll go, because they know already, I have my 10%. If I take it to you, you're good to it.
Thank you. We go for a quick commercial break. As we return back, we'll be looking into Waiguru jumping the ship to Hustler's camp, and then 48 hours later on, she's been actually introduced or given the hint that she should be visiting the EACC offices in due course. And also a number of things are happening. Also, what does this mean into the Ruto camp, and also the Wangui Ngirishi battles at Kirinyaga County, and so many other things that are developing moving to 2022 when it comes to realignments and alignments.
Families should be the epitome of love. But in recent times, this seems like a dream, because all we're witnessing is rape cases, high divorce rates, betrayal, and even murder.
So you have to protect her.
You say maintaining marriages because racism.
There are also many who are going through issues in their marriages and they can't run to anybody.
The issue of killing, the issue of murder seem to be on the rise.
And that is why we bring you Transforming Families, where we are all about just that, transforming families.
Experience Christian television like never before.
What are we called to do to transform the world, to make it more Christ-like, and ultimately to Christianize?
We are Christian professionals placed by God in our different spheres.
CAC TV brings you news.
Ulimwengu unabadilika kwa kasi, na kila dakika ya siku kuna jambo unalopaswa kujua.
Economic.
Ni mmoja tu wa wanabiashara ambao tumezungumza nao, mtazamaji.
Health.
the egg from kienyeji chicken is very good, and people know that.
Be rest assured that health is wealth.
Faith as well as national issues programs to nourish your heart, mind and soul.
We can bring the change that we desire in our country.
We look into political and governance matters and current affairs matters with a third eye.
We are called to multiply disciples. So there has to be disciple makers, and there has to be people that are willing to be those disciples.
CAC TV brings it all to you.
God bless you.
Welcome back, and many thanks for keeping it here on CAC TV on Powerbrief tonight as we look into the realignments, alignments as the country journeys into the 2022 general elections. And we are looking into some of these coalitions and alliances that are being formed, and probably what does it depict to the calculations, the matrices and the numbers that will enable either a camp to win or not to win the general election as we move to 2022. Before we went for a break, there was something that we were looking at it here. We were at Courier's projections and probably what he intended to achieve by it. And we've had Honorable Anne Waiguru crossing over to the Hustler camp. And in his address, Honorable William Ruto talked of this was something that we were expecting. It was a matter of when, not if, and it came to that. So we want to look at some of what does these depict concerning the mountain, because John has said that the mountain is slippery, but at the same time, does it relate to that, or the governor is trying to also shield other things?
You know, Omusa, when I started, I said our political space is devoid of ideological principles.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to serious countries like UK, mm-hmm. you get the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. Mm-hmm. You go to the US, mm-hmm. you find the Democrats and Republicans. Mm-hmm. Those are purely ideological parties. And even the naming would tell you, if you're on this side, there's an ideology you believe in, and the other side, the same. But you see, you come to Kenya, there's never an ideology that exists in our parties. So one can hope parties without any limitation. And today, Anne Waiguru is a flower girl and catwalking. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow she's an angel to William Ruto. Mm-hmm. So our political space sometimes does not really have a good image that one can discuss. But then we are in this country and we have to live by the reality. Mm-hmm. Anne Waiguru behaves like a man who was killed, mm-hmm. and no one knew that he killed. Mm-hmm. So when the man sleeps at night, mm-hmm. there are demons that are disturbing her. So that are disturbing the man. So the man doesn't know what to do, and to some extent, ataanza kupiga nduru, and everyone will know that, oh, Muse killed. Mm-hmm. So Anne Waiguru is at a point whereby she disappointed mm-hmm. Jubilee at some extent, and now she disappointed UDA, but she has to choose her side. Mm-hmm. So on the side of Jubilee, Kibicho is really harassing Anne Waiguru, mm-hmm. and she's thinking, I will never win the nomination. Mm-hmm. When she goes back to UDA where she's joined, Ngiriche is there, mm-hmm. a founder member, a funder to UDA, mm-hmm. a person who has really established herself on the ground. Mm-hmm. So Anne Waiguru, or if I am to be asked, then I'll say she's dying a natural death. Mm-hmm. Because the next election, politically, mm-hmm. the next election, Anne Waiguru is not going to be the governor. Mm-hmm. The contest is between Ngiriche and Kibicho, if at all you'll join the politics mm-hmm. of Kirinyaga.
What if Kibicho doesn't vie?
If he doesn't, then the contest shifts to Martha Karua mm-hmm. and Ngiriche. Mm-hmm. But Martha Karua is a very constant factor. Mm-hmm. If the three continue fighting, mm-hmm. probably if Anne Waiguru loses the nomination in UDA, she might go to another party or independent. Mm-hmm. And that now brings a lot of aspersions in the bid by Ngiriche mm-hmm. and Kibicho. Mm-hmm. And now Martha Karua stands with the sole support. So Martha Karua might win that seat, but out of the happenings of the other three. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you the truth is, if there is anyone who is sure that is going home mm-hmm. in Kirinyaga, then it's Anne Waiguru.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Kamau comes near there and could probably tell us that Anne Waiguru, the governor for Kirinyaga County, mm-hmm. her move, does it benefit her? Does it benefit Ruto? Does it benefit both or none? Mm-hmm. Or either?
I'll echo the same because you weigh both of them. Ngirichi has been a founder and a funder of the same political organization. She has moved around this country and also in Kirinyaga and other parts of central Kenya, drumming support for William Ruto for the longest time. And then I don't think if I were Ruto, I would probably then side with Waiguru, who has just come when the party is ready, and sideline now Ngirichi. So I feel Waiguru feels being in Jubilee, and you know Karanja Kibichu, if he joins those politics of Kirinyaga gubernatorial seat, you're very sure. Because of his part in the part he plays in government, that is one, and also being it's 4 women versus a single man. So there are those guys who don't believe in probably being led by women. So you would expect all those votes will go to Karanja. And also there will be a feeling of we can't have 10 years being ruled by the same gender. Most probably a good number will go that side. So I feel she feels being in Jubilee or whichever political party, ODM could be Jubilee in a certain point. So Karanja takes the day in terms of taking the political seat. And now Waiguru also feels probably the side she can probably try and see even if I lose, I'll probably get appointed. Because as we know, she will be a good CS, not a good governor, most probably. So she feels Ngirichi might probably take the day, or they might all lose, and because they've helped build that political party, they could in a way be part of government. Because she feels probably Ruto has a better chance of making government than Raila. So for her, she's trying to be part of the next government. It might not be on being as the governor for Kirinyaga, but on another political seat.
So it's a fallback plan, probably from you. Now, looking into that, Mr. Kariuki, yesterday around midnight, we saw covers of some daily, which I don't have it here, concerning the EACC knocking at the door of Anne Waiguru, not physically actually, but through probably the notification that thing is coming about. And those ones that are in her camp, including herself, have talked of 48 hours after I've crossed over, this is when this comes. And a few days back, I was the cleanest one in town. Are these two related? Or we leave the government agencies to actually conduct their duties as they are mandated constitutionally? Are they related considering the timings?
No, they are not related because Anne Waiguru has been being investigated for so many years, since she was a minister for devolution. And even when she was a governor, there was a time she was being taken to the parliament to be impeached. So Waiguru has to carry her cross. Again, when I come back to the issue concerning her joining UDA, Anne Waiguru was one of those people who were very close to the president. She knows so many things about the president. So Anne Waiguru, she's going to die a natural death, the way my brother Sase is saying.
Be particular which natural death, because that one can
politically.
You have to be very particular because there are so many types of deaths.
Politically, because she was one of the strongest people around Mount Kenya that the president was trusting. So the way she's coming up with those issues that the Karanja Kibichu he's harassing her since the Mashujaa Day. At Karanja Kibichu is favoring Ngirichi because Karanja had the handshake with the husband to Ngirichi. I think those are issues that Anne Waiguru wanted to bring out so that she can move to UDA. We remember when during Mashujaa Day, Anne Waiguru when stood up, not so many people cheered to her compared to Ruto when Ruto was talking. So Anne Waiguru, she's saying that she's trying to learn the way the crowd is going, the way the ground is saying. And I think that is a petty issue that she's trying to come up with so that she can move to UDA. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Sasia, someone will ask that all along the storms had calmed on her. And then 48 hours, as she has put it, when she was spotted in some place down here, they call it Karen, others call it Hustler's Mansion, something like that. Then the case is actually revisited, and there are those ones who are opining that there's a huge probability that the impeachment process may begin afresh, and she might join Sonko and Governor Waititu, former Governor Waititu, sorry, to the trenches. What is your, without probably taking a side, whether you are on her camp or not, what is your perception of this as a political analyst now here, with the lenses of let's talk of neutrality? What does this depict? That 48 hours after having traveled, I don't know whether she came with the team from Kirinyaga, they're within Nairobi, that one is up to them, but you have something to say about that.
Umuse, one fact that never changes in politics is that every politician has a pending file. Because one, none of these guys,
including Kamau, and do you have files which are pending?
No, the moment you win a political seat.
Just briefly, I want maybe them to agree before we proceed. Do you have a pending
served
file?
any post in the government?
No, you are a politician.
We know you are a politician.
You are
It
a
depends
politician.
with the seat that you are holding.
No, not really seats, because some of these people have come to these positions. Maybe they are even doing some private businesses down there. They are not remitting taxes and other obligations.
For me, I don't
So
have.
before we go further now, the two of you, because you're running for office in 2022, before Sasia goes, because you'll come out of this place and when you go to your places, they'll say, but your co-panelists talked of you have pending files and you didn't defend yourself. Do you have a file pending?
I think for me and for everyone else
You think-
who is
no.
vying, I would say you might not have a file, but a file can always be created.
Fine.
Do you have a file?
The same way. I don't have.
You know, Omuse, let me continue.
Kamau has not denied or anyway.
Let me tell you. You know, when I say that for every politician there is always a pending file, there are two things. That
Which can be
file,
created as per Kamau's.
that file could be empty, awaiting a document to enter into it, or that file could be having a document. One, it has a document from your previous life. And this empty file now, you've entered politics, a document is created. There is a time I was attending a training online last week. Then the trainer was saying, if you're an accountant, there's a lot of temptations. You're earning 45,000. Then there is a clean deal that you're supposed to help the board of directors make a deal of 10 million. Then this is the first deal they tell you, one, we are 10, but you're alone. We are giving you 5 million. The remaining 5 will share. That's a cool deal. You take it. Then the next deal will be 100 million and you are told you already gave you 5 million. You try and speak, we revive the 5 million. So that's what happens in politics. The moment
So
you
the 100
play in
million,
politics,
you'll not get anything from the
you
100
don't
million.
get the 100
Even
million,
a single
anything,
coin.
even a single payment.
Is that related to what we've been seeing online about wash? Is it also a type of wash?
True, because now what happens in politics, the moment you win a political position, there are some good tenders that will always pass your eyes. So one of the tenders is thrown your way. Then you take
And
up
you
the
pick.
tender. Then normally it is never a clean deal. So that moment you take the tender, your file gets a document. Now it's pending you doing a party hopping or abusing the party that sponsored you to parliament. Then that file is revived. So politics, you're never clean. And if you're clean in politics, then maybe your death is so close. So one, I've never believed there is a clean politician. Look at what is happening to Sudi. I can tell you for a fact, and this one should be taken as a real fact, Sudi is not going to be on the ballot come the year 2022. Governor Sonko, who I want to call the former governor of Nairobi County, he will never contest in any political position in this country. The guy was finished. Look at Waititu. And that will happen even to people like Waiguru. This case will be revived. NOIS will come. NOIS has never been closed, by the way. It will come. She has corruption cases in a current position as governor. Those files will be open. Then, by the time you're approaching the election, Waiguru will be having like 3 active cases. Now, what are you doing? Are you going to campaign? Or are you going to court? And at the same time, even at the camp where she joined where William Ruto is, he doesn't believe her. Because one, you remember him saying that her work is to catwalk. The lady mentioned William Ruto in the NOI scandal. And you see, you never do that to a guy you want to consider master. So one, in the Uda camp, she already has her pending file that will even eliminate her from the nomination exercise. From the government side, which is the Jubilee side, she has a pending file that has the NYS, has the things she's done as a governor. So Anne Waiguru, that's what I'm saying, she's dying a slowly political natural death, and she's gone. You'll never hear of Anne Waiguru again.
I think I have a different perspective to it, because one, who stands to gain if after 48 hours of joining UDA we come up with files and reopen the case? Who stands to join? Who stands to win? It's Waiguru. So these could have been, it's not actually government, because you forget something. Ruto is still part of the same government, and he might not have full control of the same government, but he has his people in the same government. Because as it said, and I'll say this, Ruto actually campaigned in his first term, because he was able to put his royalists in different political seats, in different big corporations in government, and in decision-making commissions. So Ruto actually campaigned in his first term because he was able to organize government in a way that helps him to probably win the election in 2022. So with that, the only thing will be, see now government fighting Waiguru after 48 hours. So it could have actually originated from UDA, just to have the masses feel government is fighting those who run away from it or run away from the sides that the government support. So it's actually a win for Waiguru and not a win for government. So I don't think it was actually instigated by government. It could have been internally instigated by UDA to depict as if government is fighting people who run away from the political seats that political parties that the government is supporting in a way.
Mr. Kariuki, what Kamau is bringing out relates to when this announcement came, or in this daily ran this headline, you could see the affiliated people who are actually sharing it far and wide to a point of, you see, we expected this, or is this happening at this time? Could what Kamau is actually saying that it could be a script written from within to earn her sympathy, not even to torment her in any way, because it's perception still?
You know, in our nation, we have a lot of propaganda, and these papers are being written by human beings too. Maybe they are being written to make one Waiguru famous or to give her sympathy.
No, when it comes to the paper reports the developments that happens or is happening within those agencies. Like for instance, if we read news here tonight, like what we had on Mwale, what is being read on Mwale is what has happened on the course of the day, who, what, when, where, why. That one happened. So what the Daily was reporting was actually the communication or the communique that has come from the EACC and the investigative agencies.
But
so just the newspapers and these need put them aside.
But there is nothing new there because Anne Waiguru has been having those cases. You know, so when people they are trying to come up with, the government now is trying to raise up those cases because Anne Waiguru have joined UDA. Those are those things they are trying to give Anne Waiguru sympathy votes, and we know for real Anne Waiguru has been having those cases since she was a minister for devolution up to being the governor of Kirinyaga. So there is nothing new because even now, for example, we were talking about the governor of Mandera, Wajir, so sorry, he has those cases. We have the governor of Trans Nzoia, he has those cases. The governor of Bungoma, he has those cases. But it depends with the investigation, the time, the period the investigation is taking place. So for me, there is nothing new there. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, still, this goes into the realignments and alignments. We saw these things, especially in the year 2017, where after the primaries of these political parties, which Mr. Sassia said that a big number of them are usually shambolic, and you also gave reasons that sometimes we have founder members and just members. And looking into it is that we had even the headlines and talking of primaries headache, especially to DP and Raila, looking into what is going to happen. In a way that sometimes you even find your brother is vying for MP and he wants a ticket, and another committed fellow also in the party, and then you wonder, ticket has to be won, and in that place it's a stronghold whereby if you get that ticket, probably you can win. There are suggestions that have been floated. One of it is that let's have a law that if you vie on party X, then you lose a nomination, you are banned from going to any other party. You either stick to that party or you remain silent until another general election. What is your take as far as primary or these nominations exercise in political parties are concerned? Come out.
I think that also depends on our political age. Because as we are, and Sasia has talked once and also repeated it, we don't have morals and we don't follow a political party on the basis of that, of what that political party believes in. We don't have a framework that builds a political party. What do we believe in? What is our plan for another 30 years? We might not be part of that political party in 10 years, but the blueprints that we build will go on even when we are not also politicians, when we've walked out of politics. So that is what we don't have. Because if you are to go back from 2002 to date, there could be over 40 political parties that have been registered in that regime. In almost around 17 years, almost 40 political parties. And you expect between now and 2027, another few political parties will be created. We've built strong political parties. Now Kenya, for example, it was so strong in, actually it's the only political parties that have ever surpassed 60% for a presidential candidate. Probably we'll never see one, we'll never also see another one. But that political party, as we speak, is under Mother Kadua, who is going for gubernatorial seat. So, but yet, it was the biggest political party to ever had a big win.
You've forgotten PNU?
Yeah, PNU was also big, 207. DP, then you talk of also the Jubilee as we see now. Sorry, it's already dead, and TNA. So what we are saying is, we don't have a belief in a political party. We all want to be politicians, get to parliament, not knowing how things work. We just be there and earn. After 5 years, we go home. And that's why you're seeing even they're trying in a way to get a send-off. And to make sure even after leaving for the first term and you go home, you still get a kitty to be collecting money from every month. Adding to the taxpayers. So back to nominations. I think party hopping should not be allowed. Because we need to be strict that if you believe in something, that is your thing. Because
whether they massacre you inside there, remain there.
Because you saw there was an issue with some of us have been registered in political parties, or you've been registered into a political party. Then how do you move? Is there a process? Then I can resign from this and go to this, and the timelines. So I think if you go into a political party, it should be always so hard to move out of it, so that we get discipline in these political parties and we get something to believe in, so that once I decide to be a KANU member, I'll die a KANU member, and I'm not changing. So we need to get discipline in these political parties, and we need to build framework to make sure that once you join a political party, probably you cannot leave it in another for 5 years.
Thank you. Mr. Sasia and also Mr. Kariuki, briefly in a few seconds, do you support this idea of putting that padlock that if you are in party Z and then party Z decides to show you their true colors which you had not seen before, you remain there and deal with whatever you deal with it till the end of the road? Or you also still propose that kikiumana mlango kifungo unaweza pitia kwa roof juu, then you run away?
No, Omuse, the proposal should not be limiting people on party hopping. My submission would be, let us have a law that limits the number of parties that we have in this country. If you ask me, I would want us to have a law that would create 2 key parties. Then allow other small parties that are, like for example, you have parties that concentrate on the environment, but we kind of copy the France type of party politics. You know, the France type of party politics, they have a plethora of political parties, but then towards the election, no party can go for election alone. So they form the right wing and the left wing. So you have 2 wings.
You choose either.
Yes, you choose either. So that is what I'm going for. Let us have a system that can limit the number of political parties, then narrow it down now to ideological values and principles. That when I am in ODM and ODM belongs to the right wing, then there is no way I can move from the right wing to the left wing. I have to belong to this side. Whether I win or I lose, I am in the right wing. That is what will help this country, and it will even come to help even the youth, because one, today I'm buying on ODM ticket, then tomorrow I feel I'm so much insecure in ODM, I'm moving to UDA, then somehow I win on UDA, But the moment I'm sworn in, I'm back to ODM. Then which country are we nurturing? We need to nurture a country where people believe in something. We need to be patrons of ideological values, ideological principles, and believe in a system that can revive and change our political space. Otherwise, we'll be coming 5 years an election, the next 5 years an election, but we are continuing to elect jokers, and people are ready to move from A to Z without even minding what did I tell my people in the last political election.
Thank you. Now, as we do our parting shots, I begin from Kamau moving the other side. We've seen the IEBC giving pressers since this exercise began of registering new voters, and Chebukati, that is the chairman of IEBC, whom people have been joking, they have been actually remembering how he was quoting President Abraham Lincoln, and he was being mimicked that he said Abraham Lincoln, something like that. So people have been talking of the youth or the new voters have actually refused to go to register, and then two, there are those ones who say that 2022 general election could be an election that could experience one of the highest apathies ever, because despite the mobilization that Sasi has done, and Kamau in Larry constituency, you also in Ruai trying to tell people to go and register, it hasn't changed anything towards them. One, Mr. Kamau and Kariuki and Mr. Sasi, as you do your parting shot, do you think the Kenyan youth or the new voters or even the former voters are disoriented? And if so, do you tell them kimeumana, we give up, or there is a hope, wajaribu ya mwisho, or they continue fighting till the end?
I think the issue we've been having as youths, because I think I'm one of them, I'm almost approaching 30. And for us, what we feel is this government has left us out. We are the ones who've lost a lot. We are the ones to carry the big burdens of heavy loans that they've acquired. We are the ones who move with them probably for another 30 years, paying them for all this oil. Also, the picture that we've gotten about government and everything, we feel like politicians are eating us up, and there is none of them who is good to hold that seat. So, and also the other thing will be, we are not yet into that political mood. If this thing was to be held somewhere in February, March, we would already be in that political mood. And vehicles are passing by and all this noise, and also we had COVID and the whole thing. So we are still not back to that political mood. And this political mood will probably come in after Christmas. Once we are done with celebrations, then politicians will be out here and then moving all around and making a lot of noise. At that point, if you're giving us 30 days to go and register as voters, it will probably work, because we will be in that political mood. We won't be talking much of football and everything. It will all be politics and all that. And also,
So
parties will have shaped and everything, so now you are owing areas that you feel are good for you, and if I register a good number of voters in this area, I'll probably win the seat. So if we can have the same exercise, probably, they said there probably will not be another exercise, but I feel if we can have another one early next year or in the middle of next year before we go for elections, it could probably work. As part of my parting shot,
does it wind up?
Yeah, I'll say hi to my Radi people. I'm born and raised in Radi, and there are things that don't happen the right way probably. And I have all the respect to the current MP, but I feel I can do more than him. So I'm not fighting him. I'm trying to make things better my way. And how, as young people, because we make a bigger chunk of this population, so I feel there are things that probably will benefit the youth. And if we start from the youth, then we can build a good constituency and a successful one.
Mr. Kariuki, is there hope? Should people come out? Or is it the timing that has been bad in a few seconds?
There's still hope, because we still have people who are yearning for a good nation. They want a good Kenya, a Kenya with good leaders, a Kenya with a very good economy whereby youth will have more employment opportunities. For me, I think there is still hope. The youth must fight up to the end, because change doesn't come that easily. We must fight. It must have a price for us to acquire this nation in the right direction. So for my parting shot, I'll just say, for people of Ruai, let us focus. For the youth of Ruai, let us stand up, fight for our rights. Let us register more, so that we can bring changes in our Ruai ward and Kasarani constituency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sasia. In summary, in the next few seconds.
On voter registration, I would want to say what is the motivation or motivating factor, because you just don't wake up and say we are starting voter registration next week. You have first to build that spirit of people going to be registered as voters. So IBC has failed on it. They never told people in advance, they never mobilized, they just put it on papers and it ended. One, the last part of it, I'll support my friend. Let us have another exercise that will come where politics have really heated, where people will be motivated by the fact that they want their person to be elected, and then people will register. And also the figures that IBC gave, there were no base on it, because how do they come up with the figures? How do they know that we have 6 million registered voters in this country? So they were baseless figures, and that's why people are thinking that we have lower numbers. But then the last of it, you know, we've had discussions today, and I've told you I'm contemplating going for a political position. Now today I want to say, be it in 2022 or 2027, I'm considering Embakasi West as the most ideal constituency in this country that I'm going to vie as a member of parliament. So one, I'm starting to build my base, be it for the next coming election or for 2027. So people should just be ready and expect that SAS is going to join politics at some point.
That brings us to the end of our discussion tonight, where we've taken time to look into the issues surrounding the alignments and realignments in readiness for the 2022 general election, where we've had Mr. Sasya Frederick, Mr. Peter Kariuki, and Mr. John Kamau, who've helped us to look with a third eye on matters to do with politics. Because on Powerbrief, we believe that in any case, in any happenings, we have to find the level ground where each and every person benefits in Kenya. Our national mantra, always of peace, love, and unity, should prevail now and even after the general election of 2022. From me, Cornelius Omusi, and all those who made this production a success, till next Thursday, God willing, I wish you a very good night.